where are you at with the marriage topic?
Yeah.
Oh, gosh. Well, I mean, from a religious perspective, marriage makes sense.
Join us.
Not
us personally.
You don't get married.
Yeah, there you go.
No.
Not up for the gangbang. She's not up for it.
Idealistically, my marriage is cool, I guess. From a religious perspective, I think it's great, but there's just certain realities when it comes to marriage, because at any point in your relationship, let's say both people are religious. At any point in the marriage, for example, as a man, the risks, the point of view from a man, your wife could just randomly choose. She reserves the right at any point to. Sorry, the thing is becoming undone again. Your wife reserves the right at any point to become a feminist and go to the state for recourse in her divorce, where she can get alimony and
sign a prenup.
Prenups are regularly. My understanding, I mean, I'm going to have some family and divorce lawyers on the show eventually, but my understanding with prenups is it can apply for everything earned prior to the marriage, I believe, but once you're married, it becomes collective property. So whatever you make during the course of the marriage could be subject to, community property. She gets 50% of whatever it was that you made during that. Then there's alimony, etc. And then prenups frequently get challenged. Recently here in Santa Barbara, we had, who's that actor? Nick, could you Google the actor, famous actor? His name is evading me right now. It was a dispute here in Santa Barbara because they were married.
Kevin Costner?
Kevin
Costner, thank you.
Yeah.
Very wealthy actor, and they had a prenuptial agreement. And it was a very favorable to the wife, the agreement. She would get a certain amount of money, but there was a clause in the prenup that says you will not, if you challenge the prenup in court, you will not receive certain benefits that would have otherwise been awarded to you under the prenup. She went ahead and challenged the prenup anyways, despite the fact that the prenups had something like, I'll give you, I don't know the exact numbers, but she would get upon divorce, an immediate
300K a month.
Well, she got 200K in what? Child support? 200,000. She would get an immediate $200,000 payment. I thought it was more.
That doesn't seem.
Is that monthly?
I don't know
That's
what.
what I'm wondering.
I don't know. In any case, she would get an immediate, very large sum, and she'd get some child support and alimony. She challenged it anyways. Then you're talking about lawyers' fees. I think the husband might have to pay the. Anyways,
Can I jump in on what you're saying though? Because I think it's really interesting. Can high value men even get married? Like women are like, I want a high value man. I want the high value and the 12-inch penis and things like that. All right, we were joking earlier. I don't know if you're here or not.
Yeah.
But anyway, the whole idea though of like, can they even get married? Because one of the beautiful things with Becca and I is when we met, we were literally sleeping on a dead man's bed, and we didn't kill the guy. But what happened was our family ran assisted living homes, and my dad's like, I got a bed for you. And I was like, great. And then I'm like, years later, I'm like, where did we get that bed from? He's like, well, somebody passed, and we had an open bed. I'm like, what? So we're literally sleeping on a dead man bed when we first get married. But then we got to grow with each other, and that's a beautiful thing. And so sometimes when women say, well, I'll just marry the high value man when I'm 35 and he's 45, well, why does he need you? Why does he want you? What are you bringing to the table? How are you iron sharpening iron?
So that's why I feel like it's important for a woman to still work. And like if I got married, I would sign the prenup so my husband, wouldn't have that lingering thought in his head like, okay, well, what if she doesn't want to be with me, but she doesn't have anything, so she's not going to say anything and just, use me. So I feel like it's important for a woman to still have her own, motion going on, her own stream of income, and the man has his own thing going on too, because if you don't want to be with him, you can leave and you won't feel stuck and trapped and then hate your life. Like, I feel like I could never just be taken care of and not do anything. Like I'd have to have some kind of business going on or
well, he's
something.
not looking for money from you. If he's high value, making all this money, driving the Lambos. So in that regard, he's looking for something that maybe he didn't have those first 20 years when he's building his empire. So he's looking for someone to help build that family. So then it's kind of what value are you bringing to the table at that point? He doesn't need the $100,000, $200,000, even $1 million if he's making 10, let's say. I don't know. He's Kevin Costner.
Value shouldn't be based
He's on the market
upon
now.
money, though.
I feel like if you're going to get married, you shouldn't have to question your partner, like, oh, I'm going to get a prenup. Like that wouldn't even cross
Right.
my mind.
You're
'cause
planning for it
forever.
to fail.
No.
No, if
They're
you
right, a
have
prenup.
if
Yes,
you have
yes,
a prenup,
yes.
it's like
That's how I feel.
It's like when this fails,
Yes.
this
Do you
is what
guys
we're
have a
going to do
prenup?
about
I
it.
honestly,
No,
I don't think
absolutely
so.
not. We had no money.
I know
and
when I get
even
married, I'm
Peter.
also going to sign a prenup. Not necessarily because I'm wanting something to fail. I don't think that my marriage is going to fail. I'm religious. I wouldn't get married to you if I thought it was going to get failed in the first place. However, there are things like affairs where if something were to occur where I can get an annulment through my own church, then yeah, I would go ahead and get a divorce if something.
But
like
when
that
you're
would happen.
married, you're supposed to stay with them through thick
I'm
or
sorry, I'm not going to
thin.
stay with a cheater though. You know what I'm saying?
Forgiveness.
No, I'm not going to
No.
stay with a
Here.
cheater. Something that if God is out of your life, especially if God leaves our relationship, I do not want to be with you.
I do
anymore.
want to ask those who are perhaps more pro-marriage. And again, look, from a religious perspective, I don't object to it. And also, I just want to make something clear. I think you can object to the institution of marriage, but also be in favor of a long-term, committed, monogamous. Like you could raise children, have a nuclear family without involving the government, without getting married. And so I guess it's a two-part question. Can you present to me, those of you who perhaps are more in favor of marriage, compelling and convincing arguments why I or other men should get married, and assuming that these men are otherwise open to having a nuclear family, say they're open to having not just open, but desirous of having a monogamous, long-term life partner,
Yeah, I think when we have these iPhones that we can look at, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that word, but when you have an iPhone, you can look at corn all day. Shouldn't we all just be walking around like, oh my goodness, I can see any naked person at any time, at anything. And people are depressed. People are walking around not feeling good. Suicide rates, self-deletion rates are high. Sorry, it was on the list. And so we have to look at that. Why does somebody want to get married? Love, connection, and intimacy. And it's beautiful because it's a great environment for me to raise my children in. I get to have children. Gosh, when you have those kids and just getting to, it's something that once you do, you get that full experience. But, it's a better environment for them. It is better for me to be married because it's way harder to step out on this relationship because we are absolutely committed to each other till death.
But but again, I think you mentioned love, you can have monogamy, you can have all these things outside of marriage, and you mentioned, well, it's great for the kids, but
you're worried about they're going to walk on you. Well, it got a little hard. The sex isn't as good. I saw it on OnlyFans,
right,
babe.
but but we have a massive divorce industry, so this idea that marriage forever keeps people in relationships is fallacious because clearly people are getting divorced, even deeply religious people. So
let me bring up an interesting topic for you then. So with arranged marriages, they have a 4 to 6% roughly divorce rate, and we got 40 to 50% divorce rate. And some people say, I worship the God of science, lowercase g, and they say if it's in a scientific thing, then I'm going to worship it and I care about it. But then when you come to something like this, then they go, I feel like I can choose and emotions just ride over.
But what percentage of marriages do you think will in 2024 are coming from arranged? That are arranged. I think it's
well. I
very
think one of the
small.
big things is they don't know each other. They're working on that relationship. They're saying we're not going anywhere. We're going to be in this thing for the long haul. Versus just we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we'll get the divorce. And we got 97% of alimony payments are made by men to women. So if I am the feminist, then I can jump out.
But he was saying how many marriages are arranged.
Oh,
Probably very few. I assume it's very few.
I feel like
Western
Dwight.
India.
I feel like 1 billion people in India would say.
Oh
otherwise.
well, sure, but I'm looking more at it from the U.S. perspective or even the Western perspective, where I think marriage is something that's typically more voluntarily entered into as opposed to arranged. Now we can certainly have a conversation of should we have arranged marriages? Perhaps it works, but I think that's unlikely to be a realistic implementation anytime in the near future, anyways. So, look, again, my concern is just I just don't see a compelling argument for it when I can have the family, I could be monogamous without having the state involved in my
It's so
my
much more
relationships.
commitment, and also
It's
isn't
what?
It's so much more commitment.
Is it?
Yeah, my parents always taught me that
So
once you're in a marriage, you're in
100%.
So
it.
basically,
you're not getting divorced.
but you're removing agency from the individual. It's basically there's the state's gun pointed at you in one way or another, saying, well, if you guys get divorced, then there will be financial ruin. And I think that's a terrible reason to stay in a relationship. Well, there will be financial
was gonna
repercussions
say-
if you don't. How about just build a really solid relationship with somebody?
Well, the whole point of getting married in the first place is that you're going to die with that person. So it's not really this. It shouldn't be the state pointing a gun at you, being
Yeah.
like, "Okay, one day when you guys decide to get divorced, we're going to come in there and jack everything." No, that's not. If you can even picture not being with spending your life with somebody at any point in your life, don't be with them. The whole point
Yeah.
of getting married in the first place is to say, I don't care about your flaws. I don't care what you do.
Yeah.
I don't
Anything
care
that,
what
happens,
happens.
we work
I'm
for
there.
it. Yeah.
I'm there.
100%.
We're gonna work
But
for
if
a
he
period.
cheats, then
Grid One Motorsports
You can have
donated
Yo, thank you,
$100.
thank you, Grid One. Appreciate it.
Watched a lot of marriages fail over the years. You are either in it to win it or you stand ready to pull the ripcord and bail. Women sue for divorce 80% of the time. Men are not the problem, ladies.
Because nobody's viewing marriage as
men are the
people used to
cheaters.
view it. I mean, if you
Yeah.
think of it nowadays, when did the divorce rate spike? It was back in the 70s. What was in the 60s? What was in the 50s? What was in the 30s, the 40s, the 20s? Well, people
Well,
were
there's
heavily.
feminism and the birth control pill. but-
Exactly. No, exactly. I'm not disagreeing whatsoever. I honestly do believe women can
Yeah.
kind of be the problem.
I think it's just the view of marriage. It's like it's been destroyed as like, oh, the ball and chain.
Exactly,
It's just
yeah.
this
It's no
negative
longer something that's
perception.
positive.
So Brian, like you, it's like you don't have faith that having a marriage can be this absolutely beautiful thing, to be committed to someone.
I feel
and-
like you
Well, I
can
think
have
being-
that without the marriage.
Yeah, that's kind of my position. Is like I'm not like this guy who just wants to sleep with a bunch of women throughout all my years and never have long-term relationship or never have children. Like I can certainly absolutely see myself having a partner and us having kids and it being monogamous and faithful and us staying together for the rest of our lives. I'm not sold on the marriage component of it because it's like, well, what if it doesn't work? You know? You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Well-
everything's connected and your taxes.
Everything's
and-
connected.
I think you know in
Like-
your gut, and you should just always stick by that person and work together. Any problems you have.
Okay, but so what when you get married, what are the vows that you have to say? Till death do us part, in sickness and in health, in good and what is it, in good and in bad.
Yeah.
You know, those words have to mean something. But clearly those words mean nothing to like a vast swaths of people who ultimately end up getting divorced, despite them saying that in front of their friends and family. I think there's a couple problems. First off, on a social level, there's no longer really a stigma to getting divorced. So like on a societal, and certainly I don't think we're going to do
People
anything.
having divorce parties.
Because it's going to
Yeah, we're not going to
normalize
do anything
the-
to like I don't think there's going to be any legislation really to like revamp anything. And so that's an error, I think. And then we have no social pressure. There's no social stigma to being divorced. Your community doesn't give a fuck. Your family doesn't care. Your friends don't care. You're not going to face a stigma. If you're a Catholic, for example, there's still, I think, to some degree, stigma there, like within your subculture. But even then, people are getting divorced. So there's no laws that are kind of incentivizing people to stay together. We have no fault divorce, okay? And then there's no social stigma. So
It's because it's been normalized. So
well, and also the moment if the man's the breadwinner in the relationship, this is why this is sort of a gendered issue, because why men are hesitant to get
Grid
married.
One Motorsports
We'll let this one come in from Grid One
$100.
Motorsports. Thank you, man.
Lesbian relationships fail an order of magnitude
Oh.
more than gay marriages.
Oh, okay.
Ladies, you are the problem
Oh.
due to feminism.
Well, look at
Feminism
that.
has failed you.
It's
the
failed you.
patriarchy stands ready to restore you to
Patriarchy.
glory.
Let's go. The patriarchy.
stands ready to
By the way,
restore
Grid
you
One,
to glory,
Grid
Jesus
One
Christ.
Motorsports is kind of like the head of the patriarchy. He is like the head honcho of the patriarchy. So just letting you guys know. But I'm trying to remember what I was saying. No societal stigma. We're not gonna no fault divorce. Where was I? Totally forgot.
One of the reasons why to get married When I got married to Becca, it's like, oh my goodness, I got to start making some money here. And magically, once we get married, it's like, I need to start making more money. And then she says, I'm pregnant. And I'm like, we can't afford a kid. And magically, I find a way to make $50,000 more that year. And it's literally comes down to what Dwight said in The Office. Use your surge of fear and adrenaline to sharpen your decision-making skills. And when you get that, being told, we're pregnant, we're having a baby, she's having a baby, yeah, you better believe it makes you more money. So people who are married make more money. Not that you need to make more money, Brian, you're just fine. But that whole concept, and then just when I wear this ring to the gym, this is like woman repellent and just keeps me
Is
in
it though?
It is.
I've heard, I've actually heard.
Not
I've
at
heard
all.
some I don't know if it was a study or just anecdotes from married men.
It's a challenge
That they'll
for someone.
get hit on by
Yeah.
women, and I've also heard from men when they're single. Chicks just be ignoring them, but all of a sudden they get a girlfriend.
It's like you want what
and
you
then
can't
they just
have.
get
Yeah.
hit on, and so
The George Costanza.
That
I
Adam Sandler
I think
movies.
certainly good women are probably going to be see the ring and be like, okay, off limits. But I think
Some girls are crazy.
I have
some
heard from
girls
some married
are
men that they're
crazy.
like, yo, girls see the ring, they're hitting on me and shit. I don't
Girls
know.
see a ring and they get fucking
know.
wet, honestly.
I don't know, but it could be. I could see it's all right. Good times. Good times.
She's like,
Did you
don't
wanna
wear
say
this.
Well,
Like,
they-
take it off. Take it off.
Again, it comes back down
I'm
to
not worried about him though, so I know.
That's how it should be.
it comes back down to that person. One of the big things we teach is that when you go to porn, you're trying to heal a pain that's going on inside, whether that was being made fun of, bullied, some trauma. And after a while, your brain stress reactivity systems, they break down. And anytime you're hungry, angry, lonely, tired, bored, stressed, anything, you just go to this vice. And coming back to that, when I was overcoming porn, it was the process of going from being a boy who runs away from his problems and runs to porn, and then becoming a man who stands up to his problems, says, I'm going to face this thing head on. So a woman hits at me in the gym and I say, be gone. It's, hello, but be gone. She doesn't see that, then I'm walking the other way. And just in all things in life, one of the big things, our thing is called Team Vulnerable, because you need a team of people around you, but talking to them and saying, what's really going on? When I was early on in the process, if I got horny, it's like, there's no reason for me to be horny. What's really going on? Is it a trauma I haven't dealt with? Is it halt BS, hungry, angry, lonely, tired, bored, stressed? But boys becoming men, that's really the process. It has nothing to do with porn. It has nothing to do with OnlyFans. It's about standing up, having that moment of strength and vulnerability, and handling what's going on inside.
Did you get
Who
to the
here's
bottom of why you're wanking so
Hold
much?
on, no. Hold on, let's stay on topic. Who here wants to get married? No. Okay. All right. I mean, just to wrap up a little bit on the marriage topic, from my perspective, right, as a businessman, I don't sign contracts that don't benefit me. You never sign a contract with someone who is rewarded for breaking it. Marriage is a contract, and no sane, informed man ought to sign that contract. It's a terrible, if you were to look at it from hold on.
Doc Venabilly's donated $100. Brixon, here is what you do. You want people that disagree with you. Bring 4 couples to our show, convince you about marriage and put you in their place. Include me and Becca. You will be a groom by end of show.
Thank you, Doc Venabilis. Look, again, I'm in favor. I'm not trying to promote, just casual sex. I'm not saying that. I think the nuclear family is fantastic for the individual, fantastic for the family, and it's the most optimum for society. And I think you can have the nuclear family without marriage. There's just certain realities.
Grid
Thank
One
you, Grid. Thank you,
Motorsports
Grid.
donated
Appreciate it.
$100. Married 18 years to a woman 11 years my junior, retired at 45, never been divorced, no kids out of wedlock. Not only am I the dog's bollocks, I am the patriarchy.
Oh, he is the patriarchy. Hey, Grid One, thank you, man. Appreciate it. Never been divorced.
No
there you go,
bastards.
Grid One. He's living the dream. Grid One is living the dream.
Perfect.
When it comes to prenuptial agreements, though, I think
Perfect 10.
it's not going to save you if the woman is motivated enough. She could even lie. She could say there was coercion or fraudulent inducement. The other problem.
Why do you think it's a bad deal for you?
Marriage?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so you have 3 things, there's a couple things. There's a whole bunch. Community. So when you're married, and I'm not an expert in this topic, but I've consulted with divorce attorneys and I've done my own research. So once you get married, you have community property. So once the marriage starts, everything that you like from that point moving forward, that's shared. Okay.
Yeah.
So in the event of a divorce, if you're a man and you're making
Yeah, but what if the
significant-
girl's making more?
then she may very well be hesitant to enter into marriage herself, or she may want to have a prenuptial agreement. There is some bias in the court system against men, but women who are high earners absolutely have perhaps a reason to pause on marriage with someone who earns less than them, because there is a chance that half the shit is going to them.